Hey everyone, I want to share a little bit about my experience as a 1-3 profile in the human design. I'm an emotional manifestor, and I've been in my design experiment, I guess, if that's what we want to call it, for about the past 6 years, living my design consciously. And being a 1-3 profile is quite a trip. The 1 line is the investigator, and the 3 line stands for the martyr in human design. And I can really see how these aspects are playing out in my personal life, how they affect me, and not how they affect me, but how I show up in the world as a 1-3. So naturally, being a 1 line, there's a lot of investigation, a lot of research, and wanting to get to the bottom of things, wanting to know things, wanting to get to the foundation and the basics of life, pretty much, and of everything we experience as humans. And I think, even though when I wasn't conscious of it, I've always, looking back, I can see how these traits have played out in my life without knowing anything about human design. So I love researching. I can spend hours in a library. I love books. But I also research a lot on the internet about everything and anything that interests me. If it's not something that's of my interest, then forget about it. There is no way I'll do it. Maybe any kind of technical stuff, or any kind of topic that doesn't interest me, I won't research. But the things that do interest me, I can go crazy over. And I do have to watch myself that I don't exhaust myself. And I have an open head center, open ego center, and an open root center. So being in that pressure sandwich, sometimes I can just get too overwhelmed, even though I crave the information and I crave the resources and I want to know. So that is sometimes my challenge. But with a lot of awareness, I can really just dive into any kind of topic and get my lens out and be like, what does that mean? And afterwards, I can feel how my mind processes everything and tries to get its own understanding of everything that I just learned. And then the 3 line comes into that, which is the martyr. And that is all about trial and error. And for me, these two are just almost like a marriage. They come together because everything that I research, I then have to go and try. I literally cannot just take on that information and be like, oh yeah, okay. I have to see it for myself. So that leads me to all kinds of really, really stupid ideas and stupid situations that I get myself into, just to learn. And that's what I'm here to do. That's what I do for you guys. I go out there, try all the shit after I read about it or researched it, and then I can tell you that works or that really doesn't work. And most of the time my experience is about what doesn't work. But from all of those major experiences, I can then take a whole collective information and narrow it down to the things that really do work. And it's a fascinating process. It really is. And for me, I think the challenge is to not get hooked on the negative aspects that come with the 1-3, and that is to take it personally, to blame myself or judge myself even when things don't go right, or when I have yet another experience of that does not work. And like I said, there's a lot of those. But I think human design has really given me permission. Human design has really given me permission to allow that process of the 1-3 to be embodied through me. And to understand that it is part of my process, and to really be kind and gentle with myself. And to know that every single experience I go into has its own meaning, its own message, and its own learning. I can learn from literally every single thing I experience. And the way it plays out, just to give some examples, is, for example, in my art making. My art making is a continuous investigation and exploration, and a continuous experiment of what works and what doesn't work, of what do I like, what do I not like, of what happens if I do this, what happens if I do that, as well as understanding the basic elements behind it. So to me, when I make art, I'm totally in my element. I can really, really just let that 1-3 line go crazy. Another example would be for my own lifestyle, I guess, well-being, whether that be diet or health. I think that is a really big theme in my life, is to understand and to process and to try what works and what doesn't work. And while that is a very personal process, I do collect an awful lot of information for the collective at the same time. And by experimenting with it, again, I can take all these little informations and these little samples and put them together into something that works for each individual, not as a collective. I'm not talking about, one thing works for all, but just seeing the fine details. It's all about the foundation and the details. And my own healing journey, especially in the last 2 or 3 years, has really all been about trial and error. Trying what works and filtering out what works and leaving aside or even understanding what doesn't work and why. And man, I have put myself through some shit. I can't say it any other way. Every time there's an opportunity, I'm like, hey, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Let's try that. And it isn't always a good idea. Apart from the learning process, which I can then share with the collective. And the more I understand it and the more I see it in myself, the more I really just enjoy it. It took me a long time to really understand and to live what it means, and to allow myself to live that way. Another great example I see in my cooking. I'm quite adventurous with my cooking. I love trying new things. So I get the recipes, or I read some of the recipes. Again, don't bother me with great detail or with long stories. Just give me the information. Just give me the key points. That's all I really want to hear. And I pick out all of the key points that I need, put the recipe aside, and then I put together my own thing. I need to experience it. I need to explore it myself, and I need to make it my own. And just see what comes out of it. Interestingly enough, I have more success with those experiments. My cooking really isn't that terrible. It's quite good actually, I think. But it's just another kind of fun aspect where I see the 1-3 researching first, researching foods and tastes and flavors and combinations and ideas and concepts and preparations. And then the 3 line kicks in and it's like, yeah, gotta try this for ourselves to know. Maybe one day I'll put together a big, amazing creative cookbook a healthy, creative, easy to make, because that's important for me. It needs to be easy, can't be complicated. Cookbook for everyone. Anyway, that's my story so far. I may talk some more about it, we'll see. Yeah, I just wanted to share that experience with you and just let you know how it feels to be a 1-3 line in human design from my perspective. And again, this is really just my own personal journey, and your journey may look very different or similar. Maybe you can relate to some things and not to others. It is all about our own personal process and bringing awareness into our experience. That is what human design does for us. And that's my story from a 1.3. See you soon.